Hello, welcome to this video on language development in children. In this video, we're going to talk about some ideas for applications of how to help children learn language and maybe disprove some information about second languages. So you're here because you'd like to learn how to help your child develop his or her language to the best of his or her ability, maybe helping the child have a high vocabulary and become a good communicator. So the first application that's going to be of use to you is narration. A narrator for a sporting event is going to give a play-by-play of everything that's happening for a viewer or for someone listening. This is the same idea when we're working with our children. So from the very first day of bringing the child home from the hospital, you can start narrating for the child. So that means labeling. You can label everything that is around the child, everything the child is seeing, because from the first day, the child's brain is growing rapidly and is a sponge, so taking in everything. So start labeling everything all around the child. When the child starts pointing, so as he or she gets older and starts pointing, you can start labeling everything that the child's pointing to. If the child points to the light, say light. If the child's pointing at the animals in the house, name the animals, say that they're a dog or a cat. By the time the child is 1 year old or so and getting older, you can start labeling what he or she is doing. So you're playing with Play-Doh, you're walking on the sidewalk and there's some ice, we have to be careful. You're looking at a yellow flower. Whatever it is, and you can incorporate all the senses. You smell the flower. The strawberry tastes sweet. So all this labeling is really good for language development. Another application that's good for caregivers to have is if you so choose, you can learn about baby sign, which is it's essentially a form of sign language to help children communicate before they have verbal language. So baby sign can help eliminate some frustration between caregivers and children, and it also could prevent some of that stereotypical terrible two type behavior. When children can communicate, they're less likely to have tantrums and they're less likely to have behavior issues. So baby sign could be something to look into if that's interesting to you. Not all families choose to use it. So now let's talk about home language. Sometimes there are families living in a community who speak a different language than the community language. And if that's the case, the research shows whatever language the caregiver is fluent in, that's the language that should be spoken with the child. So say a mother speaks French, a father speaks Italian, and the community language is Spanish, then the mother can speak her native language with the child consistently and constantly. The father can speak his language, and then when the family's together, they'll probably have a language they speak together. Maybe it's French or maybe it's Italian, but whatever the language is that the caregiver is fluent, that's the language that should be used with the child. The brain can discern different languages. Sometimes children don't display or express the verbal language until they're older, when they've been around many languages, but that can most likely, I don't have research with me right now, but what I understand is that can be chalked up to the brain is doing double or triple duty. So when the brain catches up, then any delay that the caregivers think the child might have from being immersed in many languages usually dissipates. So if the child isn't speaking by 3, then you can always talk with a medical provider, and you'd want to at every stage of their growth. So at the 2-week mark after being born, you'd check in with the doctor, maybe 4 weeks, maybe 6, maybe a month, and then 3 months, and then 6 months, whatever those milestone markers are to be seen. You can always check in with your medical provider. The idea is that whatever the home language is, you can use it because it sets a good foundation for the child's brain to then later pick up a different community language or pick up other languages. And it's okay if there's many languages in the home. That's okay too. It's just whoever are the experts in those languages, stick to those languages. Consistency and constancy are very important. Again, if you have any questions, please let me know. And I am not a medical doctor, so anything you're curious about or if you disagree with, that's fine. If you ever are concerned about your child's language development, do check in with your doctor and or a language specialist.